I'd like to call the meeting to order. It's the Board of Education for the School District of Waukesha, June 14th, regular board meeting. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sue, will you please take the roll call?
William Baumgart.
Here.
Barbara Brezink. Greg Dietz.
Here.
Amanda Roddy.
Here.
Patricia Madden.
Here.
Patrick McCaffrey. Here. Kurt O'Brien.
Here.
Karen Reinacek. Joseph Como.
Here. And Sue, also, were we properly posted with the media?
Yes, we were.
Thank you. We're going to start off our meeting with bright lights tonight. We have Sarahi Monterey from Waukesha North to report out on what's happening at Waukesha North tonight. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Sarai Monterrey, and I'm very excited to be here tonight to be able to present to you about Girl Talk at Waukesha North. I want to start off with giving you a little bit of history about Girl Talk. I started teaching at Waukesha South in 2008, and my first year there at South, I was in the bilingual department, and we had 4 students who were pregnant. To me, that was a sign that it was like, wait a minute, we've got to do something. We've got to have conversations with young ladies. We've got to help young ladies make wise decisions. So I also then became aware of the WEF grants. So I decided to write a grant to create a club called Girl Talk, where girls, we would just get together and talk about issues that are affecting them, just helping girls make wise decisions. So the club was implemented at Waukesha South the 2009-2010 school year. And like I said, we were able to run activities through the WEF grant that we were awarded. Then I was there a total of 4 years. Then I had the opportunity to transfer over to North. And when I was at North, I right away knew I wanted to get Girl Talk started there at North. But I wanted to take that first year to get to know students, to build a rapport with them. And so then I approached Jody Landish, was principal at that time there at North. And, you know, I talked to her about starting Girl Talk there. So I was very excited that the 2013-2014 school year, we were able to start Girl Talk at North High School. So in the district, total years, Girl Talk has been in existence for 8 years now. And there we have the picture of the first Girl Talk group from Waukesha South High School. And I will invite 2 students who will be sharing information.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Graciela Martinez. I'm going to be a senior this year at Waukesha North High School, so that's exciting for me. I'm going to talk a little bit about Girl Talk as well. Basically, our mission is to inspire and empower students to have a voice, be decision makers, and build problem-solving skills so they can realize their full potential. We also have 4 main pillars we focus on, which is empower, inspire, motivate, and educate. I feel like we really touch on those throughout the school year. We do a lot of volunteering, a lot of things outside of the classroom that I feel are very motivational for us as a whole team. So.
Hi, my name is Aurelia Angel, and I just graduated from Waukesha North High School. I'm going to go to Eastern Connecticut State University this fall. And I just want to talk briefly about some of the activities that we do as a group. One of the main ones that we have participated over our existence here is the Christmas Clearing Council right around the holiday time, which is where the Christmas Clearing Council is kind of like they heavily rely on us to translate for the Spanish-speaking families or families that really don't speak any English whatsoever, and we kind of guide them through the process of picking out toys for their kids, and it's a really humbling experience. Personally, one of my favorites because I get to see a lot of like families from my community. I'm like, oh, you know, it's like opening and it's humbling as well. Another one was the WEF walk that we did just this year. That was really fun. I got to see some of my classmates. A lot of teachers went. You know, we had fun. A bunch of little kids running around. It was great. It was kind of weird seeing those little kids at our high school, and it was just really cute, fun. One other one was recently we got into face painting. We did some face painting at Meadowbrook for their little fair that they had. I personally I'm not an artist whatsoever, but the kids didn't seem to care that much. So we tried our best. That's Valeria, Rocio, and I doing our best in painting soccer balls, alligators, you name it. And last but not least, we do have a very strong partnership with Blair Elementary, which is, a lot of us actually went to Blair Elementary, so we have like that, we see our teachers, our former teachers there, and they check up on us, and we say hi, and then some of our siblings are there too. I know one Girl Talk member has one of her siblings is like in 2nd grade, and I see her all the time, so now that every time I see her at Walmart, Target, or whatever, she's like, oh, hi, and everything. I'm like, hi. Oh yeah, and our meetings are from 3 to 10 to 4:10, so it's brief and it's fast, but it's really fun. We learn a lot from each other.
So one idea that the girls came up with is they wanted to figure out how to mentor other young children in our community. And like I said, we have a strong partnership with Blair Elementary School. So the girls came up with having a mentoring program where they have an after-school program at Blair. And so they thought, okay, what if we go in every other week in their after-school tutoring center and just tutor girls? Let's help them with their homework and also do some activities where we can be bonding with them. Kind of like they're becoming role models to the young students at Blair. And what I love about it is that it's all student-driven. They come up with ideas, and they're like, Ms. Monterrey, can we do this? And I figure out how to support them. And they came up with the name, since we're the North Stars, they figured Star Sister Program. And Blair, they were contacted last summer wondering if they could start Girl Scouts, because Girl Scouts wasn't really functioning at Blair at the time. They wanted to bring it in. So they contacted us and said, well, could Girl Talk help support Girl Scouts? And so our Star Sister program kind of, just merged with the Girl Scouts. And so something very important to mention, we'll get to talk a little bit about how Girl Talk gets to do activities and funds itself, but we had at the end of the year a pizza party, ice cream with the girls, and all of that is all done by funds that the girls raise for the club. And they come up with all kinds of activities that they do, and they're able to do that. We'll share with you how it happens. It's pretty cool. Gail's going to talk a little bit
So
about
this
that.
topic I am extremely excited to talk to you guys about. We took on the initiative this year for the first time at North. We took on Denim Day, which if you guys don't know exactly what it is, I really encourage you guys to look it up. It's amazing. But basically, quick overview is it's honoring victims of sexual assault, and it's kind of just bringing that topic up in our school because it's something that doesn't get mentioned or talked about a lot. I know bullying is a huge one, topics like that, but when it comes to sexual assault, it's kind of hidden. So we were really excited to bring that word out and start that conversation. So what we did this year is, well, first of all, how it started is Rocio and I went to a training in Milwaukee in regards to what it was, how we can help our community, and we brought that back to the school. So what we did in the school is we made a display, which you can kind of see in the corner up there. It was shirts and pants with statistics about sexual assault. It was also just something to get the conversation going. It was an eye catcher for sure with all the students there. Also, we wanted to raise money for our community, the Women's Center specifically. So what we did is the teachers and staff for that Wednesday, which was Denim Day, for $5 could wear jeans. And what happened was we raised $315 with just that one day alone for the Women's Center. So I was extremely proud of that. And like I said, this was our first year doing it. So we are so excited for next year, expand it district-wise, and we can know that if 315 in one day, next year for the Women's Center, we can easily do more than 1,000. So we are extremely excited about that. And like I said, if you guys don't know what Denim Day is exactly, I would encourage you guys to look it up sometime.
Our weekly sales and Girl Talk Scholarship, I'm going to go off of our weekly sales. Basically, we started off selling little Danish breads, things. I don't really eat them that much. Hot chocolate, I know we did in the winter, and then during the springtime or summertime, we would sell green smoothies, a little on the healthier side. This is mostly to get us some funds, to start us off, and so we can do our activities and start things and get things running. Like you see Rocio there making green smoothies. This is also our main source for our Girl Talk Scholarship, and our last year was our first recipient, Vanessa. I think that was her name, Vanessa. and the first year was $300. But because this year we made more money and we kept it up, and we had a lot of freshman girls, I was really proud of, because I saw that it was kind of dying down my junior year, and I was like, man, I really, really hope we get a lot of freshman girls or sophomore girls even my senior year, and we got a lot. It was a really good turnout, so I'm really happy that this is gonna keep going. And yeah, so we raised enough money, and we ended up upping our scholarship from $300 to $500, and this year's recipient was me. So I'm really happy about that too. And yeah, we also were awarded $855 grant through the WEF purchase two Vitamix machines and other items to continue our sales for next year.
I would like to add to the weekly sales. It's really neat. If you ever get a chance to come to North on a Friday morning, the girls get there like 6:50 a.m. and everyone's just working together and setting everything up, getting the smoothies ready, and it's become really, really popular amongst our teachers and our students. I had students who were like, Ms. Monterey, did you save me a green smoothie? I was trying to get here early so I could get a green smoothie. So it's really has become a popular thing, and it's really neat. I used to bring my own Vitamix, and that's how we would make our smoothies every Friday. And now that we were able to get this grant through WEF, it's great because we're going to be able to buy 2 machines. They'll stay at school. I don't have to haul it in every Friday. And it's going to allow us to potentially add in more days of the week now that everything will have a location where everything will be. So we're really excited about that, just being able to offer that service to students too, because it is a healthy way to start the morning. Like the teachers are always like, what do you put in it? And I tell them, like, it has kale, it's got your spinach, it's got your fruit. And they're like, all right, I'm going to buy that. So we're really happy that we can offer that service to our school and at the same time be able to sustain our club that way. Sorry, yep. Got ahead of myself here.
Alrighty, so with all the money that we did obtain this year from sales and from last year as well, we do a lot of things outside of a club and in the community as well. One of the things that we did was we went ice skating recently, and we also went to Olive Garden before ice skating, and because we were able to raise money for this and have fun besides volunteering as well, Girl Talk covers most of the cost, and then we cover the other half of it. So we cover Olive Garden dinner, which is great, and then they cover the ice skating. We also have holiday lunches. We saw Hidden Figures this year, which was amazing as well. We just went as a group, and we had a conversation afterwards, and it was great. Cried a lot. It was awesome. We're also planning on going to Mount Olympus on the 23rd of this month, actually, and it's just great to have that environment with the girls, even outside of, a regular classroom environment, just talking with them and having conversations and, talking about things in a comfortable environment as well, and that tends to be rare usually, so. We also, thanks to Ms. Reinachek, she came in before and she taught us about the root beer floats. So that's what we had as well at our end of the year celebration. During the last week of school, we also brought in our root beer floats and had a great day.
So a few of the girls are going to share a little bit about how Girl Talk has impacted them. So.
Good afternoon. My name's Rocio. I'm gonna be a sophomore this year, so last year, or my freshman year, was my first year in Girl Talk, and at the beginning I wasn't in Girl Talk. In Girl Talk, people can just girls can just come in and be a part of it, so we don't have we always have this attendance list to see who comes regularly, but I didn't go at the beginning of the year because personally I didn't feel like I was gonna like it. But then I started going and I realized I did like it, and it made me more confident in who I am, and I really like it. It made me get out of my comfort zone. That's where I got all my volunteer hours. That's how I met other people. That's how it just really impacted me a lot. I don't know how to explain it that much, but it impacted me a lot. And it's very good for other girls to have this too, so they have a safe environment to talk about issues like the Denim Day one. That's something I'm really passionate about too. So I was excited to bring it back to the girls and talking to them about it, and I was excited to like bring it out of school. And if it wasn't for Girl Talk, I wouldn't have like the courage to talk about that or to bring it up to someone and to talk about it. So I feel through this, through Girl Talk, I got more confident, and yeah.
Have to say, Graciela and Rosillo presented to the whole entire staff at North about Denim Day, and Miss Newcomer approved for them to do the $5 jeans and all that. But I thought, wow, for two high school students to say, I'm going to take this topic and present to the whole entire staff, I thought that was just phenomenal.
I just feel like you grow so much as a person. I didn't get involved with Girl Talk until my sophomore year, and I was kind of more of the shy. Standing in front of people and talking is terrifying, and now I'm like used to it, and it's all right. You grow as a person, and you try new things that you usually wouldn't have, or initially wouldn't have the courage to do so. I know I presented the scholarship 2 years in a row now, in front of the crowd, and that was great. And now I'm happy with public speaking, and it's comfortable, and I love it. And it's also great just walking around the school and seeing the other girls, and just having people to talk to, and growing friendships and confidence and all that. So it's been awesome.
Well, for me, I was kind of like one of the newer ones. I was fresh out of middle school. I didn't really have a lot of friends. I came from a private school, so I didn't know anybody from middle school. I knew like 3 kids. And I heard that I was in Mrs. Monterey's vision class, and she invited me to it, and I was like, okay. I was hesitant at first, but after going there and meeting all these people and meeting all these girls, these wonderful girls, I realized, like, dang, like, you feel like you know everybody. You feel like, oh, they're your typical high school kids or whatever, but no, like, there's a lot of things that you don't know and you don't really think about when you meet these people. And then when they open up, like, we talk about so many different things. We talk about teen pregnancy, sexual assault, like Graciela said, become like what is it like becoming a parent at such a young age. And I don't know, I just never really thought about all the things that affect different people, because you're living in your own reality. You're kind of like, you start off kind of narrow-minded, and then this club especially helped me like open up my eyes and kind of be considerate of what people are going through in their lives, and how to go around that, how to help people, especially because like now I can catch some signs of like some difficulties, and I'm just more open to people now. I was very closed off, so now I'm just more sensitive and open to other people's feelings, and I feel that's helped me a lot grow and make friends.
We do have other Girl Talk members who are here. Now let them say their name and the grade that they will be going into in the fall. And now we would just like to open it up if you have any questions for us about the club or anything that you would like to ask.
Mr. Baumgart.
Excuse me, I don't think it's a question as much as a support. I'm sure, I hope I didn't get to it. Was it Rocio? You had a comment in there that I think answered a question I had all along, and that was, what is the impact or the change that this has had on you? And I really liked it when you said it took you out of your comfort zone, because we all have that. We all have comfort zones, and the more we live in that comfort zone, the less we are able to help and do other things. And I talk about the people around this table. I'm sure we all had to climb out of our comfort zone on some things over the years to be doing this kind of thing. And I feel it's important that you did that. And the fact that you caught that as a change or impact it had on you really helped me understand. And I've talked to Sari about this. I don't know, you were still at South at that time? Yeah, about such a great program to get girls to understand that they can contribute. And I think you helped me believe that that's happening. So I want to thank you for that.
Mrs. Brezink.
Yes. Is the Girl Talk program still in existence at South High School?
That's interesting. I always get that question.
Yes.
And the answer to that is, I believe yes. I have a colleague who's with me there at South, Sunny Weber, and she took over the club when I left.
Okay.
You know, I did hear like sometimes it wasn't as active, and so Rocio, we're really, really sad that Rocio is actually going to be going to South next year, and she said one of the main things that was keeping her at North was Girl Talk, but because of other reasons, she did make her final decision to go to South, and one thing that we talked about is she has become such a strong leader that we are looking forward to her being at South and collaborating, and so now she was able to experience South at, Girl Talk at North, that she's able to take back things that we have done. Because I know Miss Weber sometimes would ask me, like, what do you do? Like, what do you, sometimes I'm wondering what to do with the girls, and I'm like, you kind of just gotta come. I mean, they really lead it, and I always ask the girls, what's on your mind now? What topics do you want us to cover? In the beginning of the year, we brainstorm, like, different ideas. What do you want to talk about? And so it's really, a lot of it is student-led. The scholarship that they started, I mean, it's amazing to see the girls created a scholarship fund. We have an application flyer that goes out to students. We receive applications. They sit down at the table. We white out the names. What a learning experience it is for them to be on a scholarship selection committee, that when they then are seniors, they know, like, oh, those are the kinds of things that I should be writing on my essay. So it's a very empowering experience for them to be able to do that. And like Graciela mentioned, she has presented the award, the scholarship, the last 2 years. So we are excited and look forward to continuing being able to offer that scholarship.
How many students at North are in the program?
So about 25 each
Oh,
year is what we
good.
have in the program.
Very good.
And that was about the same at South as well when I was there. And a lot of the times, one thing I forgot to mention too is we do a lot of collaborating with just people in our community. I like to bring in guest speakers. At least once a year, we have people from the Women's Center come in, and they do activities with the girls. And actually, the ladies from the Women's Center are the ones who brought to us, they reached out to us wondering if we would like to be involved with Denim Day, and got us the information, and the girls and I went to a training in Milwaukee about it. So it's really nice to be able to, just network with other community members and have community members come in and present to the Girl Talk members. And I know I've been contacted by UW Waukesha. They have a group going on, and they are looking forward to collaborating with us this coming year as well.
Mr. Bryan?
Turn on my microphone. I keep it off in between, but we were at E-Achieve graduation, Mr. McCaffrey and I, and we noticed quite a few of the graduates were young ladies. I think the ratio was probably 3-1, more or less. And I have to think a lot of the graduates, or a lot of the people that we have in E-Achieve, are people that weren't really comfortable in the brick and mortar environment because they didn't have something like Girl Talk to help bring them in. And so I'm pleased that we have something going like that in our brick and mortar schools, but we probably should have something like that going in our E-Achieve school too. Because if these people are feeling left out in a brick and mortar school, they're probably not fully engaged in their E-Achieve school either. So I'm very impressed with the presenters today, and I appreciate everybody coming, and it was a very interesting topic.
Mr. Dietz?
Are you connected with a larger, like, state organization or national organization?
We are
Or is-
not, and it's interesting because I looked up Girl Talk, I just Googled Girl Talk, and I believe there is like a national group called Girl Talk, but what they do is a mentoring program for middle school girls, and there's like a toolkit there, and I thought, oh, this is interesting, but that you do have to pay dues to like this organization. So I'm like, okay, it was a little bit different than what Girl Talk actually does. When I started at South, when I was trying to come up with ideas of like, okay, I want this girls group, what should we call it? And I thought Girl Talk was straight to the point, simple. As girls, we're gonna talk. We're gonna talk about issues that's gonna matter to them. So that's why I decided to go with Girl Talk. And I went on, at the time, it was a national campaign to prevent teen pregnancy, because again, that's where the whole idea came out of when I saw the amount of students that were pregnant at that time. So they have a curriculum, and I ended up printing out the whole thing. It was like this binder with all kinds of activities to do with teens. And one we did this year was, I said to the girls, I said, all right, so let's talk about what are the needs that a baby has? And we went through, right, and on the board, they listed everything. You need diapers, you need childcare, you need, everything. And then I said, now you've got your iPads, go to Google, and I want you to come up with the budget. What does that look like? And they were just like, what? It's that much money for a baby? So things like that is what we do. We have these conversations. We do different activities to help open up their eyes and help them make some wise decisions.
And I was also very encouraged by your students and what they had to say. You must be really proud of everything that has been accomplished, and it's a real credit to you for bringing that to the students of North. So thank you very much for doing so.
Mrs. Brezink?
Usually in high school, not always, but kids are so into themselves. And this is wonderful because it gets, people to look beyond themselves. And especially, what can I do? That's what the wonderful thing is. And once you start, that volunteering, you probably will end up doing it, as an adult too. Very valuable.
Yeah, that's why when I thought of the 4 pillars for Girl Talk, and by the way, we get shirts every single year, and always on the back of our shirts, it's always the empower, inspire, motivate, educate.
Cool.
And because I always think of, to me, volunteering in my life has always been big, and exactly what you just said, that when you just think that the world is bigger than just,
That's right.
ourselves, there's more to than just us, and when they realize that they have so much they could offer to their community, to me, I'm like, that right there is huge, and just helping them value the opportunities that they have. And so that's why volunteering to me is a very big part of Girl Talk. So much that now in the community, I think the word is getting out that Girl Talk likes to volunteer. So I get contacted a lot, like, oh, is Girl Talk willing to do this? Even Mary Jo King, has emailed me, there's this volunteer opportunity. You have any girls interested? So, and that's something that they really enjoy to do. So it's been nice to see them step up to the plate.
Well, you got to
and
move
back.
on to West now, too.
Yeah, that's true, that's true.
Anybody else? I had a couple comments. First of all, you all presented very well tonight. You could tell the passion and that you guys are really into this, and that this has really helped you out. Really, one of the more impressive things is it being student-driven. Wow, I mean, the girls have taken it and have run with it, and you guys have become leaders. And that is fantastic. And I can't imagine some of the sensitive topics that you talk on. And I'm sure that after those discussions, maybe the formal presentations to kind of kick things off, you guys have bonded probably and have created strong relationships with one another because of some of the sensitive things that you're talking on. And I'm sure that those discussions continue as friends outside of when you just formally get together. How much of an impact has that had on like your other friends outside, the ones that don't come to Girl Talk? Do you have other examples of how this has reached beyond the club?
Yeah. Yeah. I just when I before this year, I guess this senior year was been really hectic and really eventful for me emotionally, personally, all these different in different ways. But mostly because recently, I think it was last month, my best friend tried to commit suicide, and I was devastated. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to think, and I talked to some of the Girl Talk members, and they're like, oh, they helped me a lot, and they helped me kind of reach out to my friend and try to get her some help, and hey, I'm here for you, giving her that emotional support. But I also needed some emotional support because I mean, it's rough. So it was really nice having that something to fall back on, someone to fall back on, especially Mrs. Monterey too. So yeah, it was just I'm just really grateful that I have this really good relationship with all these girls after high school.
Does anybody else? Yeah.
So me personally, with my friends, the friends I have in Girl Talk, we talk about the issues and everything are different from the conversation I have with my regular friends. And talking to them made me more comfortable to talk about. I was always comfortable talking about anything, and a type of person that likes to speak what they think about something, and I like to ask a lot of questions, because if you ask a lot of questions, you learn more that way. So I would ask Ms. Monterrey a lot of questions. I would speak my mind in the meetings and talk to them about a lot of things, and then that'll also like translate to my other friends. And sometimes I would like bring up the topic to them, like let's say sexual assault or pregnancy or all that, and then they get really shocked about the questions I ask them, because like they've never been asked that question, but they eventually do answer it, and then I like to think that I help them with it. And with also Denim Day, I talked to my group about it, and me and Graciela did, and I had the idea to just also, since social media is a big part of our generation right now, I posted something on Facebook about it, and it was like the history, what to do, what can you do to help, and all that, and how to help sexual assault victims. And so I feel like this club has helped me talk to people about our issues without being scared of it.
Yeah. Yeah, so the reach goes beyond the club itself, which is very powerful. If someone, are there resources that you have available? So if you encounter scenarios where professional help needs to be given to, are those
Great
also
question.
talked on?
So I feel very grateful for the Waukesha Education Foundation, because they have supported now 3 grants that I have written. So the first one to create Girl Talk. The second one was for a Girl Talk library. And that was 2 years ago that we got that awarded. So basically what I did was I bought a set of books. And there are some self-help books. So it could be, dealing with anxiety, different issues that as I listened to the girls in the conversations, the issues that were coming up, I'm like, ooh, this would be a good book that if a girl felt like, you know what, I'm really dealing with this, and maybe I don't feel comfortable talking about someone, but here's a resource for me. So we have a Girl Talk library where the girls can check out books. And then again, if there's ever anything, and we haven't gotten to that point where it's like if something is like very confidential, that it's like, okay, I would need to contact a social worker or anything like that. I've never had that, but it's nice to have the Girl Talk library. And I always know I work closely with Kelly, Kelly Bratz at our school, so, she would be another resource. Always, the social workers are so supportive of Girl Talk all the time. They're always like, whatever you need, Sada, you let me know. So it's really nice that we do have support.
Yes. Well, thank you, Mrs. Monterey, for what a great vision.
That's right.
And to the students to really make it come alive, and for you to take ownership of it. Wow, keep that up with all facets of your life, and you guys are going somewhere. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
We do not have any recognitions this evening, and we do not have a student report to be given. So we're at the section of our meeting where we like to hear from our citizens. And as we've done in the past, we allow 3 minutes for each person to speak. And at the 2.5 minute mark, with 30 seconds to go, Mrs. Brezink will give you a warning to start to wrap up. We expect that all speakers will honor our time limit, refrain from using any inappropriate language in any manner, and be respectful in their comments. Speakers who do not meet these expectations will be prohibited potentially from speaking at future meetings. We also expect that the audience will be respectful of the speaker and of the Board of Education, refrain from responding with verbal comments, cheering applause, or other behavior that may detract from the meeting. And also, in order to respect our speakers tonight, please silence your phones. And Sue, do we have anyone that signed up?
Yes, we do, Paul Reese.
Oh, it got bundled in with some other papers. Mr. Paul Reese.
Well, that's a hard act to follow, but I'll try. First off, I want to thank this board, whether intentional or not. It's been a great year. I don't think a meeting's gone past 9 o'clock, and that's been really nice. I mean, it's been really noticeable that we've gotten to it and gotten out of here quite early this year. So thanks, whether or not it was intentional. I spoke recently and went to Madison on constitutional carry, and wanted to talk a little bit about that tonight. Today there was a tragedy out out east in Virginia where a shooting took place, and that shooting was stopped because there were two plainclothes officers there who responded immediately and with lethal force. And that hasn't always been the case where that has happened. When I talk about this, people think, oh, all the guns in schools, they're actually other parents who care about their kids. And I don't think at any time in society ever a parent has showed up to pick up their kids whom they love and care about and decided to execute a bunch of other kids. I don't think that that's ever happened. And for anyone other than belongs there in school property at the time would be trespassing with a firearm, which I think would probably be a little stiffer penalty. Of course, also it would open up the ability for people who vote, like my father, who's 70 years old. If he carried his gun in his car, he wouldn't become a felon after 70 years of not having any contact with a police officer. But anyways, I just wanted to bring that up, and again, thank you guys for your promptness this year. So have a good night. Thanks.
Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the Board of Education? Please state your name and address for the record.
Apologize for not signing up before. My name is Jacob Lloyd. I live at 1300 Black Hawk Trail, apartment number 11, Waukesha, Wisconsin, 53186. I sit here frequently. I don't actually say much. I wanted to take a moment to, again, thank the district, thank the board. In a newscast I heard this morning driving into work, I was hearing them debate over how do we get more students into trades? How do we get more students to from thinking that college is the one way to going, hey, we can go to a tech school, we can go to apprenticeship. It was a discussion involving how President Trump has been speaking with Governor Walker. It was interesting to listen to because you have a reporter talking to college students about this issue, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. You'd think that it might talk to the trades, it might talk to the high schools about who should be going into the trades. And I always want to thank the Waukesha School District for making that a viable option through the partnership that they've been building with IBEW, I believe. And I just wanted to express my gratitude for that. Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to address the board? Okay, thank you very much. We'll be moving on to our minute approval. We do have a couple minutes for your consideration. May 10th, regular Board of Education meeting, and also on May 10th, we had an executive session. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Is there a second on that?
Second.
Any discussion changes that need to be made to the minutes? Okay, Sue, will you please take the roll call vote?
Barbara Brezink.
Aye.
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Karen Reinacek.
Aye.
Kurt O'Brien.
Aye.
Amanda Roddy.
Aye.
Greg Dietz.
Aye.
Patricia Madden. And Joseph Cohen.
Aye. Passes 9-0. Moving on to our communications report, Mr. Gray, Dr. Gray.
Three letters this evening. The first is one from Dave Sternick, Commissioner of the Classic 8, and he's congratulating Waukesha North High School for being recipient of the Classic 8 Conference Sportsmanship Award for girls soccer. The second letter, also from Mr. Sternick, is congratulating Waukesha South High School for being Classic 8 Conference Sportsmanship Award for boys tennis and boys track. And finally, the third, also from Mr. Sternig, congratulating Waukesha West High School for winning the Sportsmanship Award for girls softball and girls soccer. And that's it.
Always, those are great. Those are great communications. Mrs. Brezink, do you have a Waukesha Education Foundation
I do.
update?
The 7th Annual Waukesha Education Foundation Run, Walk, and Wellness Fair was a huge success. The event had over 200 runners and walkers who participated in the 5K or the 1-mile race for children over 12. The Wellness Fair component of the event encouraged healthy and active lifestyles. This year's fair included an obstacle course, an outdoor Army fitness challenge, and various exhibits that covered everything from healthy eating habits to the risk of radon. The foundation appreciates the district staff that planned and participated in the runner walk. We also want to thank vendors and sponsors who helped make this a success. The date for the 2018 Run, Walk, and Wellness Fair will be Saturday, May 12th at North High School. Thursday, May 25th was exciting for the foundation. Several foundation members volunteered to visit schools and present in person the 2017-18 grants. Each grant recipient received an oversized replica check with the amount of their grant on it, balloons, and treats for their students. In all, 13 schools and 25 classrooms were visited. For 2017-2018, there were 26 foundation grants funded, totaling $30,000 in awards. 25 of the 27 schools within the district are receiving grants. Over the 14-year history of the Waukesha Education Foundation, approximately $200,000 has been awarded to fulfill grant requests by district staff members. Foundation funds grants to programs that promote innovation, enrichment, technology, and learning. And finally, the foundation annual golf outing will be held on Tuesday, September 26th at Western Lakes Golf Club in Pewaukee. This is a new venue and time of year for our golf outing. Mr. President, that concludes my report.
Thank you, and we were witness to Mrs. Monterey, who received 3 of those grants during the years, so
That's right.
we can see that money's put to good use and what kind of impact it can have. So a little bit of seed money can go a long ways.
Long ways.
Yeah, thank you for your report. Moving on to our Safety Committee report given by Mrs. Roddy.
Thank you, Mr. President. There is no report. The committee will reconvene in August at a date yet to be determined.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And moving on to our charter school and program report given by Mr. Baumgart.
Thank you. As most of you have experienced over the last few weeks, we've enjoyed a number of celebrations or moments of deserved pride. We've celebrated awards nights, the Seal of Biliteracy presentation, all of our high school graduations, and yes, a few retirements. I'm going to mention a few of the less noticed things that I've uncovered or found, but are worth mention for positive reasons. Excuse me. On May 26th, Meadowbrook celebrated a new outdoor library that the students are encouraged to use over the summer. You have probably seen those little library boxes around town. Well, one of the teachers over there thought we should put one in their garden of a significantly bigger, about 3 times as big as the ones you see out there. So she had the class design and research what materials might need to be used. And then one of the parents, I'm going to say his name if I can pronounce it, Joseph Singsheim or something like that, close to that. He built it, and it's there for the kids to use over the summer. Pick up books, drop them off, that kind of thing. Great participation. Another one, on June 2nd, Higher Elementary School was visited by the Milwaukee Brewers to receive wiffle balls and bats. This is a part of a nationwide program called Play Ball, intended to get elementary kids up and moving and interested in baseball. Our district received, and I don't know the right number, but it's in the thousands of bats and balls that are being presented to elementary school, or presented to elementary school kids to get them up and moving. But at Higher, they had the opportunity to actually meet and play, throw the ball around and stuff like that with some of the Milwaukee Brewers, current players, and one of our former MVP types were there. Also there, and of course getting the most of the attention, were the racing sausages. So. That puts things in priority, doesn't it? Anyway, very positive event was held over there. I took the opportunity last week to visit the South Avid seniors shortly before their graduation. I visited 40 seniors. As I usually do, I asked them, when you were freshmen, how many of you were planning on going to college, and I got about 6 or 7 hands up. Then I went around the room and just briefly asked each of the kids that was there of their current plans. A large majority, I would say about 75% of the kids have very specific plans for their future education and the careers that they intend to follow, something they didn't have 4 years ago. A few others are undecided, but some of them had an idea where they're going with it. And a few others are taking a year off and hopefully coming, they've identified where they want to come back to, so we just have to hope that works. Avid continues to be a success story for those kids. Les Paul, this time of the year, has become a prerequisite for me to visit because if you, excuse me, if you haven't ever seen the marble roller coaster that they have at the Les Paul building, just a minute, please. If you've never seen that marble roller coaster, plan on getting there next year, like the last week of the school year. Sue's nodding and grinning because I made her come with me this year to see what goes on in our schools. And it is phenomenal. The kids are into it nonstop. They'll miss lunch if they have to make sure things are working. Interesting, Lee Hansen, he's a teacher over there, has said that they have never, 6 years old I think now, they've never had an issue of damage to this is all paper and cardboard is all it is.
Wow.
Coming down from the top floor all the way down to the bottom floor. They've never had any kids damage it, and that's just great. Like I said, they own it. Also, if you've been wondering at Les Paul, the airplane that they've been building for 3 years is ready to fly. Really? I don't know by who, and it ain't me.
I thought they were trying to convince Todd to be the first one up.
There are some limits.
They do need a licensed pilot.
But honestly, beautiful. I mean, and it's not a little thing. You'd have trouble getting it
Out of the building.
widthwise into this room. I mean, it's now they moved it, I believe, to an airfield, and it has to be checked over by the FAA, I think of the FAA, and then they have to find somebody that's, and we actually have a candidate, but I won't mention it. Okay, and one last story. The dual enrollment graduation took place week before last, I believe by now, at WCTC, and I wanted to mention this. There is an E-Achieve student who got her associate's degree that week, which actually meant she got her associate's degree about a week before she got her high school diploma.
Wow.
She's finished 2 years of college and her high school and received both the associate's degree and the diploma last week. And I believe she's already enrolled in work. The report from that department, she had her career path well planned out, and in addition to the dual enrollment program, Academy took advantage of every youth option and course option credit that she could over the last 2 years. So a great program again, and there's other stories about that dual enrollment program you're going to hear about. So quite simply, it's June. We have another year where we have demonstrated that we do good work. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bongard. Mr. O'Brien.
I always like to, because we had graduation, and Mr. McCaffrey announced for the board that they were graduates, and E-Achieve was a good, phenomenal end of the year, as always, the graduation ceremony. We get to meet all the children who happen to show up. Another story with the chosen speaker, or at least the one who volunteered, was from New Berlin, and I believe she's competing in the Miss Wisconsin. Yes, wow. She was very proud of that she would be the first E-Achieve student to participate in Miss Wisconsin. In fact, she said homeschooled student to be participating in the Miss Wisconsin pageant. What we do in E-Achieve is really phenomenal. I think we have some work to get more enrollment into that school. I think that's a very important aspect of it. I don't think we get that story out as well as we should, but it's the children that participate in that program are extremely pleased with their choice, at least the ones that show up for graduation anyway. And it's a very impressive program, and the entertainment was by one of the students, and he writes his own songs and played the guitar. And you just imagine, I kind of wanted to tell a story about Les Paul and the fact that he didn't have, if he would have had something like he achieved, maybe he would have had a high school diploma himself, so.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Baumgart.
Thank you, Kurt.
Moving on to our consent agenda. Mr. Clark, did we have any public gifts given to us?
Yeah, 5 gifts. Neil Whittle donated an upright double bass with appraised value of $1,500 to North High School for their orchestra program. Donald and Joanne Kraus donated $1,000 to Waukesha North to help offset student fees, or fees for students who could not pay all of their band fees. Paul and Kathleen Oman donated a total of $2,000 to Les Paul Middle School to be used for technology for the building to inspire students. And the Charles Horwitz Planetarium received 2 gifts, $500 from the Lake Country Women's Club and $2,000 from Joanne E. Baker. Both of these gifts will be used to purchase new equipment and programs for the planetarium.
Excellent, nice way to wrap up the school year with those gifts. So thank you to those who continue to give to our schools. Thank you very much. Your agenda includes a number of categories for approval tonight. If any board member wishes to have an item set aside for a separate consideration, you'll have that opportunity. There were no expulsions this past month. And so at this time, I'd ask if there is any items that someone would like to have set aside and discuss later tonight. Okay, seeing none, Ms. Madden, will you please present the consent agenda for approval?
Thank you, Mr. President. Earlier this evening, the Human Resources Committee approved of 14 resignations, 2 retirement, 3 leave of absence, and 40 new or modified teacher contracts. The information was provided in your packet, and an addendum was placed on your desks. Mr. President, I move that the consent agenda be approved as amended.
Is there a second to that? Second by Mr. O'Brien. Discussion? Sue, please take the roll call vote.
Greg Dietz.
Aye.
Karen Reinacek.
Aye.
Barbara Brezink.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Patricia Madden.
Aye.
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Kurt O'Brien.
Aye.
Amanda Roddy.
Aye.
Joseph Como.
Aye. Passes 9-0. Thank you. I didn't want to steal any thunder with our superintendent's report, but we had one of our constituents talk about some of the good things happening out in WCTC, and I'm going to let Todd talk about his time yesterday with President Trump.
Well,
That
first
will
of all,
be part of your report.
yeah, okay.
Not the whole report.
Yeah. First of all, my morning was spent with former President Dan Warren. He sends his greetings, and we did some wellness activities.
Really?
Yeah. Only 9 holes worth of. But he sends his regards and his greetings, and he reads the Freeman every day online, so I could not even tell him what's new, and so he knew it also. But it was good to see him, and he said he does miss working with the board. So in the afternoon, then I spent some time at WCTC as part of a panel discussion that included the president, Secretary of Education, Secretary of Labor, Donald's advisor, Ivanka, along with a number of other assistants and about a dozen CEOs from around this part of the state. Governor Walker moderated the panel, did a very good job. He actually, the first speaker was Ella Johnson, who was on the panel. And if you see her in the picture, and you see a hand sticking out, I was trying to point her in the right direction, but she did a wonderful job explaining that the dual enrollment program has been wonderful for her. She got a good start at West, and then went on to the dual enrollment and actually got her welding degree from WCTC before she graduated from high school. So she's continuing on in the program, and again, she did a very nice representation of our school district. The governor also commended our school district for the work that we are doing. And again, I think some of the things that we've been doing lately, most recently, the plasma cutter has drawn a lot of attention to our MAID program. So it was excellent. It was a very focused meeting, bit low-key at times, but again, I think people are appreciative of the visit and the fact that he's looking at funding for these types of programs. In fact, I talked to one of his assistants afterward, and he said, you know, we are working on a plan to get some more funding into what they call the skills gap programs, whether it's manufacturing, construction, or engineering. So, and then the other one that they stressed was STEM schools, and I wanted to raise my hand. I said, well, we're already there, but that was an important thing that was noted by a number of the CEOs, saying we need more engineers in the state as well. So it was a overall very nice event. On to state issues. I know Darren is ready to nail down the budget, but first we have to wait for that budget to get through joint finance and then get into the governor's hands. At this point, the governor's proposal has given us $200 per pupil in the first year and $240, is it, Darren, in the second year. However, the assembly proposal cuts $1.2 million to our total over 2 years. And it's not like the money is going towards tax relief. They're still going to spend that money. But on how they've done this, a lot of districts that spend more per pupil than we do, some significantly more, are actually coming out ahead. We'll get more money under this. So I don't understand the math. No one seems to understand the math. The only good point is the Senate seems very committed to supporting what the governor wants to do. So I have sent a number of letters to both our area senators and area assemblymen saying, you know, back what the governor's doing. For, you know, since Act 10, we have had to live with some pretty tight controls. We've done that. We've balanced the budget using the governor's tools, and now that the state has significant new revenues, we would simply like to kind of catch up to where we were back in 2010. We still don't have the same revenue per pupil that we had back in 2010. So the governor's proposal is reasonable. It helps quite a bit. The assembly version is very, very bad for us. So that's kind of where hopefully the Senate will prevail on this one. And finally, a thank you for your support for my WASDA presidency this year. I know it was a lot of travel and a lot of meetings and so on. I have one more that I have to preside over in late June, but it's just a short 1.5 day situation. But I asked one of the other presidents, I said, what was the best thing about being WASDA president? He said, becoming past president. So that kind of sums it up. But it was a very interesting year. Got to know a lot more of my colleagues around the state, which was.
You might ditto that comment? You might ditto that comment in a few weeks?
Oh, yeah, definitely. So, but I mean, most of the stuff I've had to do is finally done. Like I said, the last meeting is just more of a ceremonial type thing. So.
Well, and you actually were gifted a scholarship, right?
Right, yeah. Unbeknownst to me, that the presidents of WASDA is given $1,000 to give as a scholarship. And it came late. It came actually 2 days before our graduation, so all the scholarship ceremonies were done. But I did elect to give it to a young lady that works here in our business office. I did write to you on that, and she was very appreciative. She received the Seal of Biliteracy this year and is planning on going to Carroll University, and I think might be the first in the family to go to college. So it was definitely a good thing to do. So I'm sure she'll appreciate that and use that well at Carroll University.
That was worth your service right there.
Yep, it was, definitely was. So, and that's my report.
Thank you, Dr. Gray. Moving on to our committee reports. First report will be given for Finance and Facilities, and Chairperson, Mr. O'Brien.
Well, it's tough to follow the guy who stood with the President. I'd just like to say, on that topic, we had an incident today, and I think the opportunity anytime to be invited to a meeting with the President of the United States is an honor. And this district has always been very respectful as how we interact with each other as board members, and we try to set the example for our community that regardless of how we feel about people and their political persuasions or whatever, we always treat people with respect and the dignity that they deserve as the elected leaders of our community or our country. And I'm very pleased that Mr. Gray did that and didn't have a problem with that from anybody as far as I know. So now I should get on to my report. Facility finance report, we didn't have any action items. We did have information items, 4 items, a monthly budget update. The committee was presented the budget report for the month of May. There's $432,019 was reported in the general fund revenue, and $9,238,161 was expended during the month. $38,465 was reported in the special education fund revenue, and $2,396,292 was expended. The district is operating in accordance with our budget projection in other areas. Second information item was the committee was updated on the contingency plans being developed for the close of the 2016-17 fiscal year as part of the year-end planning. Several potential paths are discussed, and in July, a recommendation will be brought forward for consideration. In that regard, is talking about the extra funds that we may have available and how we would allocate those. Administration shared the 2017-18 budget development calendar. In July, the preliminary budget will be presented to the committee. Based on current assumptions, the district has a balanced budget. And the fourth item, and you have a little memorandum note on your desk, was discussion of the insurance broker services RFQ timeline. We constantly, every few years, we check and see if we alternative suppliers would be an improvement or at least something to try. And right now, we're looking at the broker services for our insurance. The administration updated the committee on the insurance broker services RFQ timeline. In April, an RFQ for the broker consultant services was issued to 9 firms and publicly posted on the district website. 5 responses returned and 3 finalists identified. The results of the RFQ process are on your desk. There was one discussion item. It was the facility master plan. The administration updated the committee on the district's facility master plan. As you know, we've had a little work session on that as well. The administration has entered into conversations with Epstein Euling architects to assist with the facility planning. The master planning process could take up to a year to complete and will take into consideration all the SDW's assets and available data. A second board tour of the area school district's facilities has been scheduled for Monday, June 19th. And please contact Mr. Darren Clark if you would like to attend. Mr. President, that concludes my report.
Now, that might have been a record for FNF. Wow.
Except for my opening off topics.
That's okay. That's okay.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. Moving on to teaching and learning given by Mrs. Brezan.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. Committee meeting was held June 6th, 2017 at 5 p.m. There is 1 action item, 2 information items, and 1 discussion item that appear on the agenda for teaching and learning this evening. The first action item, it's approval of the district academic standards. The school board must annually include an item on the agenda on or before the first school board meeting of the school year that clearly identifies the student academic standards adopted by the board under section 118.30. 1GA1 of the state statutes that will be in effect for the school year. The 2015 Wisconsin Act 55 requires that districts must annually notify the parents, guardians enrolled in the school district of the student academic standards that will be in effect for the school year. These annual notices then are placed on the school district of Waukesha website. On a vote of 5-0, the Teaching and Learning Committee approved the annual notice of student academic standards. We request board approval, and therefore I so move.
Is there a second to that motion? Second by Mr. Dietz. Discussion? Comments? All right, Sue, please take the roll call vote.
Kurt O'Brien,
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Greg Dietz.
Aye.
Amanda Roddy.
Aye.
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Patricia Madden.
Aye.
Barbara Brezink.
Aye.
Karen Reinacek.
Aye.
Joseph Como.
Aye. Passes 9-0.
Okay, we have two information items. The first is the Hawthorne Lab School Update. At our meeting on June 6th, Director Sharon Thede, Principal Adui Nguyen, and his team informed the Teaching and Learning Committee of the partnership being created between Carroll University and Hawthorne Elementary School to show the power of collaboration to address the achievement gaps while also preparing future pre-service teachers for the profession. The lab in Hawthorne Lab School stands for Learn, Analyze, Build. Learn together, analyze thinking. Build on strengths. This is an exciting partnership with Carroll University, and the teaching staff is excited for the year ahead. Next is the update on e-achievement alternative for the 2018-2019. At our meeting on June 6th, Director Sharon Thede and Principal Rick Nettesheim provided background and rationale for a proposal to begin e-achieve alternative for the 2018-2019 school year. The proposal was in your packets. The approval process is expected to begin in September 2017. For a discussion item, it relates to the Student Achievement Update Lowell Elementary School. Rachel Herman, principal of Lowell, along with her Lowell SAIL team, were present at the June Teaching and Learning Committee meeting to highlight Lowell's work this year around the theory of action and the impact it has had on student achievement. Lowell has seen incredible growth this year according to both their measures and around instructional practice data as well as their student achievement. Thank you, Mr. President. This concludes my report.
The last item is a discussion item. Is there any comments, questions?
I would only say that the presentation that we got from Lowell was one of the most specific,
You bet.
hitting all the nails on the head so that you can understand what you're talking about.
Okay.
No fluff, all content.
Also, Mr. Baumgart and myself had visited over at Hawthorne, and I mentioned Hawthorne School and their new program, and I was very impressed with the new direction they're taking there.
For lab. And that we've had a long-standing relationship with Carroll University.
Yes, we have.
Over many, many years, working with their educational department. And I actually saw a lab meeting. I witnessed the end of a lab meeting, people coming out of a room after brainstorming. A lot of excitement, a lot of energy that's going on there. So, yeah.
That's it.
And thank you for your report, Mrs. Brezink. Moving on to human resources, given by Ms. Madden.
We have no action items. We have a discussion item, which is the employee handbook, first review of the new edition. This edition incorporates the newly adopted board policies, which are referenced throughout the handbook and hyperlinked to the policies on our district website. Other than this total restructuring based on policy, which in some cases replaces sections of the current handbook, minimal changes were made to the handbook. Specific changes include revision of employment categories, the addition of a telecommuting agreement, replaced the health risk assessment with wellness program, added the protections from disclosure of medical information, added the health savings account, and added the 403 sub B voluntary benefit program. The official handbook, once approved, is valid online only to make available all hyperlinks and to ensure the reader is using the most up-to-date version. Mr. President, that concludes my report.
And the last, this is a discussion item. Is there any other comments or questions on the employee handbook?
Anybody has any suggestions, questions, please get a hold of Chris this week if possible, because she will be on vacation for a week. So she can discuss that and get it revised for us.
Mr. O'Brien.
Just to cover briefly, suggestion I had in committee, doesn't mean that there's going to be anything done on it, was there's not a lot of clarity on what happens when someone leaves the district in terms of how that impacts their possible separation benefits. it's not an employee handbook, and when there's discussion whether it should or shouldn't be, and whether that would be added or not, I guess is kind of up to HR. But that was that was one question, and if anybody thinks about that as being important, they should contact Chris as well. Mr.
Are
McCaffrey?
you talking about an involuntary separation or a voluntary separation?
A person that leaves mid-year, what rights does the district want to reserve in the employee handbook in the event that district leaves and breaks their contract per se? It's not clearly outlined as what rights we'd like to reserve. It doesn't mean that we'd employ them, but it would be nice, I believe, if we put that in the employee handbook so there's some clarity. And I think Mr. Dietz sort of agreed with something like that, but it's kind of hard to decide what would really be in that. And I kind of left it up to Chris to think about from my perspective. But if anyone has any input on that, that would be, share it with Chris.
Just one other thought. Moving to this format, I think, is efficient and will work much better. It refers to our Neola policies where appropriate. So those are all electronic. As a matter of fact, I believe, Chris, you said that the template for the handbook came from Neola. So that's paying some dividends, more dividends than what we thought, actually. So I think this will be really great to have this online as well, referencing the appropriate policies where necessary. Anything else? Hey, Pat, is that?
That concludes my report on HR.
Okay, thank you. Why don't you roll right into Compensation Committee?
Good, I will do that. We have two action items. The first one is approval of the salary and percentage increase for administrative and non-unit staff. Information on the salary and percentage increase for the administrative staff and non-union unit staff was provided in your packet. The 2017-18 budget will be adjusted to reflect recommended and approved salary and wage changes. Mr. President, I move to approve the recommended salary and percentage increase for administrative and non-unit staff.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Brezink. Discussion? All right, Sue, please take the roll call vote.
Amanda Roddy.
Aye.
Patricia Madden.
Aye.
Barbara Brezink.
Aye.
Kurt O'Brien.
Aye.
Karen Reinacek.
Aye.
Greg Dietz.
Aye.
William Baumgart. Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Joseph Como.
Aye. Passes 9-0, Sue.
Thank
Ms.
you.
Madden?
The second action item is approval of the wages for classified staff or / support staff. Information on the wages for classified staff was provided in your packet. The 2017-18 budget will be adjusted to reflect recommended and approved salary and wage changes. Mr. President, I move to approve the recommended wages for classified staff.
Is there a second to that motion? Second by Mr. Dietz. Discussion? Mr. O'Brien?
Just one of the things on the classified staff, the custodial, we did have a group that hasn't received a pay raise for almost 4 years now. And this will be the first time in 4 years where they'll be getting a pay raise. Seemed like 4 years of not getting a pay raise was long enough. And there was really no debate at the committee as to whether that was a good idea or a bad idea. It more or less was just accepted, so.
And just to comment on that, that wasn't necessarily a punitive kind of thing. It was just a period of time to adjust those particular employees' wages. They were really on the very high scale 4 years ago, and we just started to bring them back down to what market is really paying. So, all right. Any other discussion on that? Sue, will you take the roll call vote?
Karen Reinacek.
Aye.
Amanda Roddy.
Aye.
Patricia Madden.
Aye.
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Barbara Brezink.
Aye.
Kurt O'Brien.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Greg Dietz.
Aye.
Joseph Como.
Aye. Well, passes 9-0.
Mr.
Pat?
President, that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to policy given by Mr. Baumgart.
Okay. Policy?
Yes.
Everybody ready for this?
I think you can be longer than F&F.
I think I can make it better than, shorter than it, if you listen. Okay, we do have some action item here tonight, and a lot of, I would classify as first readings. The first action item, the action item is revisions to policy 0155 for committees and 0166, the agenda for board meetings. We've talked about this previously, and this is really quite simply combining the two previous committees, Human Resources and Compensation Committee, into one committee. We've talked about it. It's really in the two policies. The only changes are moving some words from one to the other and combining it into the one. This has been through the policy committee. To have this new policy in effect immediately, which is something would be advantageous to just the logistics of the board, we're going to be asking that the requirement of 2 full board readings be waived tonight. Now, we have a policy and bylaw which allows us to do that on a 2/3 majority. So I am going to move for a waiver of the two, now there'll be 2 motions here. The first one is the waiver itself, and the second one, if approved, would be the approval. So at this time, I would move for a waiver of the two reading requirement for revisions of policy 0155 committees and 0166 agenda.
Is there a second to that motion? Second by Ms. Madden. Okay, we need to take a roll call vote on that, and we need 2/3 to, Mr. Bryan?
Could you just clarify that we're voting on a waiver? What are we voting on here?
We're
To
voting,
waive.
we're voting to waive the second reading, so we're really coming with you, the first reading. We've talked about this previously. This is the first official reading, and we will be moving directly into asking for approval of the change in the policy, moving the compensation and HR committees into one.
Does this require a 2/3 vote or a majority?
The waiver requires a 2/3 vote.
Okay.
So are we clear that instead of having 2 readings, we're going to have 1 reading? And if that passes with 2/3 vote,
And I will be
majority
moving
vote,
for approval of the
then
change.
there would be a second motion specifically on the change.
Told you we could get this done faster.
All right. Hey, Sue, why don't you take the roll call vote on waiving the second reading?
Kurt O'Brien.
No.
Amanda Roddy.
Aye.
Karen Reinacek.
Aye.
Greg Dietz.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Patricia Madden.
Aye.
Barbara Brezink.
Aye.
Joseph Como.
Aye. Passes
William
8,
Baumgart.
Thank you. I'd like to vote on that one, aye.
passes 8-1. Well, forget the chair, oops.
Okay,
Passes 8-1.
passes 8-1. Then I will move for the approval of the revisions to policy 0155 committees and 0166 agenda as presented.
Is there a second to that? Second by Ms. Madden. Discussion? Mr. Dietz?
Just for clarification for everyone, will there still be 2 committee agendas, or, so what's the committee called now?
The only reason why we had 2 committee agendas is because we still had 2 committees.
Tonight, okay.
So it will be the Human Resource and Compensation Committee. Yeah,
Okay.
I think ampersand, actually.
It's human resources and compensation, and we
Okay.
just are deleting the word compensation as a separate committee.
Okay.
That's the only change.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yeah, I'm okay with trying this for a year, but I really don't think this is a 5-person committee job. I think it worked well tonight, and it was nice to have the extra couple people there, but I'd try it for a year, but I really think we're going to find a 5-person committee for, we have 2 5-person committees, T&L and F&F, and I'm not sure that this is really a 5-person committee job. Certainly we can't have 5 people in the compensation discussion very easily. So I'm okay with trying it, but that's why I voted no on the thing.
Mr. McCaffrey?
What was the discussion on 5 people? I mean, don't the 2 current standing committees have 3 members each? Is that correct?
As well as policy.
Yeah, so why are we going to 5?
Yeah, so there was a suggestion for that consideration that actually came from administration.
Okay.
And we actually have talked about this for a number of years. Like 3 or 4 years, we've talked about why wouldn't we combine these? There's overlap, there's similarities. We're in a post Act 10 scenario where we really don't have the long negotiations that we used to have prior to Act 10. I mean, those negotiations were huge number of hours, and definitely wanted to have a 3-person committee on that. So it was really more from an efficiency perspective.
But, no, yeah, I understand that, but I was just wondering why we're going with 5
Oh,
members.
well, actually, Ms. Madden was chair of both before, of compensation and HR. And we don't have more than 5 people on any committee. So,
Why don't we have 3? Why are we not having 3 people on this committee, and why are we having 5? I mean, how did that discussion look? I mean, I'm on both 5-person committees right now, and, I mean,
I think we took the 3 that were on compensation, put them on this committee, and then we had myself and Greg Dietz, and then we dropped Barb from the
Barb's the odd man
HR.
out.
Yes.
Nice.
So how this comes about is it's the president's responsibility to assign committees, okay? The president has the prerogative to also create special committees to get whatever work done. And so during that process of determining committees is when this idea was floated. I had talked about it with Mrs. Brezink. She helps with that process. I have also called up the chairperson of both of those committees, Ms. Madden, to see what her thoughts were on this. And the consensus was, let's give it a try.
With 5
So,
people. No,
yeah.
I'm just
Yep.
wondering, I
Yep,
mean, what
with
was
5.
the discussion around 5? Do we think that it's going to increase opinions, have a more diffused opinion
It-
base, or,
It-
I mean, what are we looking
It
for with
was,
the 5 people?
it was dealing more with, because of the number of people that we had when you
Okay.
combine the two
Alrighty.
together.
Yep.
6 didn't make sense,
No, 6
so let's
doesn't-
make it
yeah,
5.
and number does not make
Yeah.
sense. Okay.
Really. I mean, it was a pretty
Yeah, no, I understand. Okay,
straightforward discussion.
thank you.
Mr. O'Brien?
And we got a lot to go through tonight, but it's worth a try. It's worth seeing how it goes for a year. I myself will look at HRs and policy, both committees, and I think policy's become way more than that, actually, as being committees where new board members get on and we really learn about the district, and there's not a lot of things going on in HR that you need 5 people for. Same way with policy, if you had 5 people, it'd turn into a tough deal as well. And compensation doesn't really fit 5 people. But it did work well tonight. I would say that it was nice to have the other 2 people so we could kind of fill them in on some of the history of the compensation. So I do think it's worth trying for a year, but I'd like it to be revisited a year from now. Okay.
Sure. Yeah. And I'd be looking for input from board members, and actually whoever the next president is next year would be gathering that information. So we elect our officers every year, and so we go through this analysis all the time.
And all we're really doing tonight is changing the wording in the policy. All of that activity that you have to do is still out there to be done.
Right.
Yeah, it's not what we're talking about.
Right. Yes. Okay. Any other questions or comments? So we're looking to revisions of policy number 0155 committees and 0166, the agenda changes. Sue, will you take the roll call vote on that?
Patricia Madden.
Aye.
Barbara Brezink.
Aye.
William Baumgart.
Aye.
Greg Dietz.
Aye.
Patrick McCaffrey.
Aye.
Karen Reinacek.
Aye.
Amanda Roddy.
Aye.
Kurt O'Brien.
Aye.
And Joseph Como.
Aye. Passes 9-0. Sue? Bill?
Okay. At this point, we have 20 policies before us that we will be talking about, in essence, a first reading. These are policies that we have been brought forward from Neola to us that need to be dealt with. The way we can do this, first of all, I want to point out something as you should have the lists in front of you. And there are certain groupings in here. For instance, the first 3 policies I'm going to talk to are numbered 1619, 3419, 4419. They're all the same policies, but for a different group of people. and that is repeatedly in this list of 20. So the wording in those is the same, except for for instance, the first group is the administrative group, the second group is professional staff, the third group is the support staff. So those three policies, 1619, 3419, 4419, are for group health plans. The Affordable Care Act and the Wisconsin state law require these updates to be made. So there's very little choice to be made on this. So in between now and June 20th, there is another board meeting on June 20th. If you have some questions that need to be raised, that's the time to do it, because we will be then bringing them forward in the July meeting for the second reading and the approval. Okay, any questions on 1, 2, and 3? Policy 1619.01, policy 3419.01, and policy 4419.01. Privacy protections of self-funded group health plans for those three groups again. The Health Insurance Portability and the Accountability Act, HIPAA, require these updates that are being presented here. Any questions on those? If not, again, review those and be ready to ask the questions on June 20th or before our next board meeting. New policy 1619.02, 3419.02, and 4419.02, privacy protections of fully insured group health plans, again for those three staff groups. The Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act require these updates. Very little room for movement on that, okay? Thank you. No questions. 1619.03, 3419.03, 4419.03, Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act. The Affordable Care Act requires these updates. Same statements. Review those, you can basically see what's needed. Now, we do have next one is a standalone. The Health Education Act 2413, Health Education Policy 2413. Wisconsin state law requires additional language in that one. I meant to look that one up and have it open. I forgot to do that, 2413. This is where we have to offer CPR and CCR, cardiocerebral resuscitation, and provide with instructions about automated external defibrillators in our classes. That is now, the words are in there for us. That is new, it's required, but that one stands alone for our curriculum. Questions? Okay. Now we have a group of two, 3120.01 and 4120.01, job descriptions for professional staff and support staff. There's a change in here for each job description, which basically says they could be assigned additional duties as necessary. Again, this is required. No, it's not required, Joe, is that correct? No, this is just, yes, I'm sorry, that one is not required. It was an option, and that's the way we worded it. Okay? Job descriptions. Get us through those two, and then there is revisions to 3310 and 4310 for freedom of speech in non-instructional settings and in school settings. And it is quite simply a rewording, changing the word freedom of speech to employee expression. In both cases, I believe it's the same thing. Support staff, freedom of speech changed to explore employee.
There was a specific legal reason for that.
Yeah, there was. Joe?
Joe, do you recall that?
It's to balance the rights of the organization versus what employee, the statements that they could make, for instance, on social media or out in public. So there's the idea of freedom of expression, which talks about where and what an employee could say about their organization and how that balances against freedom of speech and our ability to interject as an organization if needed.
Kurt?
Is this a new policy?
Oh.
No,
It's just changing,
the phraseology is,
the
but
phraseology is just changing. Policy's there. In fact, the policy doesn't even reword it, except for that title.
Just the title is all that's changed. This was our original policy?
This was adopted back in February.
Well, I mean, is this something that's come from Neola but didn't come from us?
We had it even before that, didn't we?
I'd have to look for what was in
Well,
it.
then
I would like to know, because it's, I find it kind of hard to believe we had this in there, because
Well, we'll
we
do, and that's
we
why
have
we-
some board members that really do like to be able to freely express themselves, and they feel the teachers should be able, and I'm not saying I'm against or for
Oh,
this,
but
but
that's
this.
why we have a first reading, is so that you can raise a question like this, and
Yeah.
we will research that.
and we actually did have a discussion on it
There
in committee
was.
too. It was kind of bantering it back and forth, and then once we got kind of the description from what the attorneys were telling us, we decided to keep the new language. But we'll look at it again.
We will.
Because this is a long, I mean, this goes way, way back, where, board members that aren't even on the board anymore, were they worried about this particular subject.
I know.
So I was just surprised that it's in there, and anyway.
Okay, that one we will check on, check further on. 6150, tuition income. These changes indicate that tuition rates are set by the board but must be based on one of 3 DPI-approved methods. This one was a little bit unusual and is a standalone. Joe, could you kind of tell everybody why we had to do this? It's rare, I know, but
This is very rare with the broad expansion of open enrollment, but it is still an option for something that we need to consider. An area where we do set a tuition, it is in the area of special education in our deaf and hard of hearing program that is at Lowell and at Butler, where districts can tuition in. We're not able to randomly set a rate for that. We do have to use the state formula to get the dollar amount to educate that student.
and that's all we're really doing with this. Okay. And 8500 food services. You'll love this one. We had to adjust the wording to use the term institution rather than district. Somebody's getting paid a lot of money to figure that one out someplace, but not here.
Joe, do you want to talk to the reasoning behind that?
Our non-discrimination language needs to match what the federal guideline, their definition is. And so from the USDA, which applies to school districts, institutions of higher education, institution is a kind of a catch-all term, whereas school district really refers to a public K-12 entity.
Institution is basically broader.
Yeah, broader, and in the event of some legal action someday, we will follow the rules. That was 8,500. You ready for this? The last one, 8,531. Same thing. We changed the word from district to institution. That didn't take too long, did it?
No.
That,
Oh, Mr. O'Brien.
I was wondering,
how did it determine that this policy meeting is?
this is an attempt, to, where we have those where, is it possible where it's just clearly updating the policy to be compliant with state law? Okay, there's like, what is there, there's 8 of those in here?
At least.
It's almost
At
all
least-
of them.
Can those ones be put in some sort of consent agenda so we can vote on them all at once instead of one at a time? Is there a way of doing that? within
Yes,
our- Good.
as a matter of fact, unless there are some issues in a July meeting with one of these that somebody wants set aside, I'm going to move for doing it as a lump, the whole 20. I'll forewarn you of that. We may have one to discuss, I know that.
Yeah.
And it's quite simply, we would then extract that from the group and vote on that separately.
And we did that at the committee level, and
We do.
that worked well, I thought.
Yes.
Okay. Whatever you guys decide to do, but I am in favor of something like that.
Okay, we will do that. Now, again, the next committee meeting is June 20th, immediately after the Technology Committee meeting, which you better not make last for 2 hours.
I would never do that to you.
And that's when we would like, if you have any input on any of these 20 policy changes, please provide them at that point, so that when we meet in July 12th, maybe, at the full board meeting, that we can go ahead with this. So we have, the next meeting is on June 20th. There was a meeting scheduled for the following month, just announcing this, for July 18th. That meeting has been canceled and probably will be moved to July 25th. So we want to hear, I guess Lynn has talked to the committee members about that. So if you have any further discussions about that date, please get to Lynn Cummings. And that concludes, at great length, the Policy Committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Baumgart. Moving on to technology, given by Mr. McCaffrey.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no report this evening. However, as Mr. Baumgart clearly stated earlier, our next scheduled meeting is Tuesday, June 20th at 5 p.m. in room 109. And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to other business, are there any recommendations for future board agendized items or committee agendized items? All right, we do not have a need for an executive session tonight, so wish everyone a happy summer, and we are adjourned.